Professor Pugh back in the house. All right. We got our grades up again this weekend. Michigan goes on to Iowa, gets a very impressive road win. You know, it's a very difficult place to play. You heard the stat all week about how top 5 teams go there to die. So Michigan did not die, and that's a great thing. Overall, a pretty good game, but still a lot of room for improvement for this team. So let's get started. Quarterback, I gave J.J. McCarthy a B, an 85. He's got to hit these deep balls at some point. Once he hits these deep balls, he could be an A-plus type player. But not hitting these deep balls is a big problem. He did only have one fumble this week as opposed to a couple last week. So that's a step in the right direction. He's still doing a good job of hitting the intermediate routes. I think he's doing a good job in his second career real start because Hawaii's not a real start. So Maryland, Iowa, those are his 2 real starts, and he's looked good in both of those. Not great, good. Do I think he can be great? Absolutely. I've seen everything I need to see. He's got all the talent in the world to do what he needs to do to be an A quarterback. But for right now, he's a B. Going to be an important game this week against Indiana. Get some window dressing for Penn State. That's not going to be an easy game. Next up, let's get the running back position. Great job, guys. Last week I slammed this group for not being a group effort, but one of those guys was out sick. Well, thankfully that guy that was out sick came back and he performed pretty well, Donovan Edwards. Edwards didn't have to do too much, just get 7 or 8 carries. Corum gets the majority of the carries. Honestly, I'm totally fine with that. Both guys did a great job. No fumbles. Got 5, 6, 7 yards a carry consistently. I don't even think they had any negative runs, so nice job by those guys. Corum made a nice move on that linebacker on the last touchdown, so no complaints here, no real surprises here. Tight end, another group that's performed very well. I got to give it an A. Luke Schoonmaker, again, was the leading receiver for the Wolverines. He's been absolutely terrific. And his blocking as well. Watch the last touchdown Michigan scored when they went up 27-7. Look at Luke Schoonmaker getting the block on that linebacker. That was an absolutely devastating block. Blew his guy back. That was something special. And then on the first touchdown, too, was a lead blocker, Schoonmaker. Lead blocking for Ronnie Bell. Boom. Great block. Touchdown. That's exactly what we like to see here in the school of Pugh. So, A for the tight end group. I don't think there's much debate. Wide receiver. I gave these guys a B. Now, here's the thing. We only had 8 catches for 80 yards from the wide receiver group, and that's got to be better. Albeit against a pretty good Iowa defense, but they did have some opportunities for some bigger plays because McCarthy missed a deep ball to Roman Wilson, who, by the way, has had an excellent season. You know, I like seeing Andrew Anthony get down the field. These guys did their job, but is there still more that can be done from this group? Yes. I'm not going to complain too much, but we just need to keep seeing these guys make explosive plays, and I think that's going to come soon. So, 86B for them. Offensive line. Now, you guys won the Unit of the Week last week. This week, a pretty darn good job. I gave the offensive line an A, a 93. But I didn't give him an A+ because Trent Jones missed a key block in the fourth quarter, and that's what led to J.J. McCarthy's fumble. That just can't happen. You got to, as an offensive tackle, you got to be looking at the outside first. And, you know, he tried to help out inside. Free rusher, easy sack. But other than that, he made up for it, though, with a great block on that last touchdown by Corum. I know I've mentioned that play several times, but he sealed the lineman beautifully. That was just a perfectly executed play, and that's exactly what you want to see out of the blockers and the running back. So that's why I refer to that play so much. So, but Trent Jones is a great offensive line. I don't think there's any debate on that. Just got to learn, protect the outside first. That's the big thing. And that's just it. All these guys still have room for improvement, and you're not hearing me yelling and screaming because I think that this is kind of what we should expect. They're all playing focused. They're all playing, you know, pretty fundamentally sound. They're just not playing up to their potential yet, which is to be expected in Week 5. I think that this team is going to be peaking at the right time, which is exactly what we want. So I'm happy. Thumbs up. Offense overall gets an A-. Struggled a little bit in the fourth quarter with a few 3-and-outs. You know, I would have liked to see us on that 3rd and 1. You know, Iowa pinched all their defensive linemen in the one where we had to punt up 20-7. I mean, I would like to see JJ keep the ball a little bit more on these read options, but that's just me. We missed a few opportunities, but at the same time, you know, we did our job. The main goal of this game, don't turn the football over. I said that a billion times. We did not do it, so that gets us a pretty good grade, considering that Iowa is a team that loves to force turnovers. What it tells me is that this team is very focused yet again. And if this team brings that same focus throughout the rest of the year, we can win the Big Ten championship again. Not turning the football over, not committing stupid penalties, those two things, and not playing sloppy football. We did that last year, and we're doing it this year. And we can beat teams that are technically more talented than us by just playing clean football. I truly believe that. So kudos to that group. Let's get to the other side. And actually some pretty good improvement this week from a lot of positions, but still some groups that need some work. Defensive tackle. I got to give this group an A. Watch Mozzie Smith. Gets pressure a lot of times back there. I saw Graham get a sack. That was absolutely awesome. Number 55. Chris Jenkins is again a beast. That's not surprising. Iowa barely ran the football at all. I think they only averaged about 2.4 yards a carry. That's because they barely got any push up front. Great job by that group. And they also created pressure on the quarterback, so that's a double bonus. Great job by the D tackles. All right, here we go. Our unit of the week. And this one is kind of a surprise based on what happened last week. Defensive end. Congratulations, guys. You guys earned both the most improved unit of the week and the unit of the week. I gave this group an A+, or a 98%. The fact is, Harbaugh listened to my last video, I guess. I don't know. He said, get Mike Morris on the field more, get Oki on the field more, and what do you know? Those two guys are creating tons of pressure. Those two guys are wreaking havoc on the field. And they both did a great job in the run defense as well. Iowa didn't really bounce anything outside except for one play. These guys created a lot of pressure, and really, you know, Iowa's not a good offense, but usually they have a very good offensive line. So to see us win some of those one-on-one battles with them really gives me a lot of hope. The fact is, I do think this is a talented defensive line. It's just a matter of finding out which personnel works the best, and we had a few games to work that out. I think now, for the front seven, it's only up from here. So great job by the defensive ends today. And Upshaw, too, did a nice job in the run stuffing. Next up, linebacker. I gave this group a C+. And I actually do think they played a little bit better, but I still need to see more results. Colson was getting great depth with his dropbacks. I think he was doing a nice job trying to take away the middle, but you know, that one throw to Laporta was an absolute beauty from Petrus. I can't believe I'm saying that, but the fact is, Iowa's tight ends were the reason that they stayed in the game. You know, passes over the middle, albeit even if they weren't wide open, still, it was a couple of big passes. And then also one play that really bothered me, the fullback leaking out of the backfield for 18 yards. That sort of stuff just can't happen. And maybe I'm exaggerating this grade a little bit, but the fact is this is a very, very bad offense that really shouldn't be that hard to play linebacker against. So still need to see more out of this group, but I do think that Junior Colson is making some progress, and I think that this group did a better job of tackling today. That's a big thing. Cornerback. I have to give this group a C. And this is really disappointing because this is a huge regression. You can't give up those big plays in the fourth quarter. You just can't. I don't care if it's garbage time. I don't care when it is. It just can't happen. But I can tell you what the problem is. The problem doesn't have anything to do with talent. It's got everything to do with technique. And what I'm seeing is with two players in particular, Will Johnson and Mike Sanderstill. Both those guys have not played defense very long. You know, Johnson's only a freshman. Sanderstill, this is his first year playing defense. I noticed that when they play off coverage, this is a big thing, off coverage, the receivers way the heck, pretend that this fan is the wide receiver and I'm just going to play as far back as possible. I notice sometimes when they get back, they turn their hips way too quickly. And I'll tell you this, when an Iowa receiver is cutting in the middle of the field, you got to turn your hips like this, it's over. I don't care who you're playing. So really it's just where our hips are when we're playing deep off coverage. Because otherwise, I actually think if we just played man-to-man and just jammed the guys at the line, that we would have totally destroyed them. But I understand Minter wants to get us good at playing zone because we're not going to be able to do that against Ohio State. Their receivers are explosive. So The fact is, this is just a learning period for this cornerback group. But given that it's against Iowa, I have to give this group a low grade. I still think that DJ Turner, Green, and Sanders still are all a very good unit of defensive backs, and Will Johnson too. Just a matter of we got to bounce back, play better next week. That simple. Can't give up. Can't keep giving up these late touchdowns, and really getting worse as the game goes on. Next up, the safety position. Another solid week. I give this group an A-, a 92. Can't quite give him an A because R.J. Moten did miss a tackle. I think last week I gave him an A because Moten had an interception, and Moten's been playing great this year. But really, that's the only thing I can really think of. Rod Moore continues to do what he can do as a hybrid player. Really like him in that spot. So, yeah. And you know what? When there's not too much drama with a safety position, that's a good thing. That means that they're not getting beat deep down the field, albeit this probably was a pretty easy week for them because Iowa doesn't have many explosive athletes. But still, nice job. I give this defense overall a B+ for this week. Played well most of the game, especially in the first half. Just got to stop the breakdowns late. We got to fix our fundamentals with our hip movement on playing off coverage. That's really just the big thing. Otherwise, though, this team did a very nice job going into a tough environment, getting a win that has evaded us for years. And I think that you really think about it, was last year a fluke for Michigan, or was it a sign of things to come? And I'd actually argue it was a sign of things to come because I noticed we're playing much more focused. We're not making sloppy errors in these kind of games like we had in the past. You know, our offensive line is blowing people off the ball. That's really the big thing, is we haven't had that great offensive line in a long time, and now we finally have it, and it feels great. That's what Michigan football is all about, is being physical, and we finally regained that part of our game. And we have a little bit of speed to go with it too. So I think that this is the new Michigan. This is what we should expect every year, to be up to 10 or 11 wins going into the Ohio State game, and in that game you just throw your balls to the wall and play as hard as you can. So let's not get ahead of ourselves though. Next week we got Indiana, and that game can always be a little bit tricky, even though we usually beat them. That game, I never take it for granted because Tom Allen, for whatever reason, always plays us close. So that's that. All right, I'll get my video out on Indiana very soon, but I'm very happy with the grades I delivered this week. I hope that next week the grades are even a little bit better. Thank you all for joining this class. Professor Pugh is out.